There, we're recording now. Great. Well, thanks everyone for dialing in, and thanks Mike for making a special effort to dial in, even though you're still on leave. It's great to know that you're still thinking about us, and also even better to hear that you're definitely getting some sleep. So the opening question for the call, which is the same as the first call today, is talking about something interesting that you've changed in your home recently. So Douglas, would you like to take us on the first one for this?
Sure. I didn't change anything on my home recently, but I changed on my home office. I bought a standing desk. I hope that I could get it next week. So yeah, that's the news for me. Next one. Fabian.
Oh yeah, I also have a standing desk, and it is quite fun. I got it delivered yesterday, I think, so I'm on it, and it has a motor, which is a little bit surreal because I can just, like move it up like this and slowly like fade out of the picture, which is quite funny. So it's quite cool. But I also have my kitchen ready now, which is really nice. I can send a picture. I think this should work. Can you see that?
Yeah, maybe it's more interesting to share a screen quickly to show the image.
Let me try that. Share. There we go. That's the kitchen. Can you see it? So I made my first coffee at home in like 6 days, so I'm very pleased. No longer, like takeaway coffee, so that's quite nice. That's me.
I think I'm next. So I also have a standing desk, but I'm more lazy than I expected. So I'm mostly sitting, but sometimes I work standing. So well, it's pretty cool. Anyway, and yeah, about what I changed in my house. Well, half of my house doesn't have any electricity now because I installed air conditioners, and guys who did that, they cut down wires. So it's so I expected it to be fixed this weekend maybe. So that's pretty much it about me. Who's next? Mike.
Oh, sorry. The most recent thing we've changed about the house is we had a patio cover before. Well, it wasn't really a patio cover, but it was like a pergola, and it kind of covered it. But we took that down because it was super old, and we put a new one up, which is nice and actually blocks the rain and the sun. So we're actually enjoying that now because it's summertime and eating outside and stuff like that. That's it for me. Who's next?
Yeah, Gabriel, do you want to go next?
Okay. So recently I've been doing some repairs at the house. So last week I was fixing the bundled light source from the mirror. So it was quite a challenge to take the whole thing out of the wall and unplug the electrical wires and try to figure out what was wrong with that. And this week we were like fixing the front door. The lock bolt thing was kind of going out of the door, so it was a very old lock, so we had like to take the thing out of the door and screw it again, and So yeah, doing those small repairs things here. Who's next?
Tone, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. So we have a gate that goes from the driveway to the garden to the terrace, and that was broken because it was completely rotten. And I'll share my screen quickly to let you show what was happening. So you see the wood was broken, and where the screws are attached, they came loose completely. Because they were rotten, and I just added a quick fix by adding another wood and adding a ton of screws. I'm not sure if you can see them, but there are really a lot of screws up here and up there. I think about 50 screws, but it fixed my problem for now. And I will make a new gate someday, but we have a dog, so I needed to fix this quickly so the dog wouldn't run away. And that's it for me. I'm not sure if I think we've all. No, Rachel, you're next, I guess.
By the way, Torn, I thought you were joking when you said you put like 50 screws. There was like some exaggeration in there, but I think you actually like put in 50 screws, so it's quite impressive.
Cool. I'll take the last slot. I don't have a standing desk, and also I'm working from my parents' house at the moment, so it's not even my normal desk, but I will say that it is the most uncomfortable desk chair that I've ever used. So I'm looking forward to going home and having my actual normal desk chair. But the thing that we've changed recently in the house, I'll also share my screen. Share my screen. The thing that we've changed recently in our house is that we've installed a bird bath, and on the left there was a photograph from 2015, and on the right is the photograph from a couple of weeks ago. So it sounds like a really small thing, but it feels like it's finally finished that side of the garden, which is really nice. Although my daughter gets distressed when birds play in her bird bath. So yeah, so that's me. Thank you for sharing your things. So this is the first time we're doing a double call like this. So I plan to just keep the same agenda as this morning, even though some people have heard most of the discussion before. But we'll see how it goes and see if we need to adjust things for the next time that we do these double calls. So the first thing that we spoke about, well, that I was keen to continue speaking about, is if people would be open to trialing a different maintainer model. There's been some discussion lately about changing or about the ratios of developers to maintainers. And while the model that I've suggested might not be the best model, I'm still looking for if there's any ideas of different things that we could trial, because we are in the fortunate position where we have quite a few maintainers in our group. I also went through and analyzed the last set of MRs and found that by and large, more than half of the time we're reviewing our own work and merging our own work anyway. So I wasn't sure how much of a stretch it would be to always review our own work and always merge it. So that's why I'm just opening up the discussion if there was something we wanted to try. So Douglas and Mike being the two maintainers on the call, I was wondering if there was anything, if anything specific came to mind.
I don't think there's a problem with that necessarily. I do like a little bit of cross-pollination between teams, but I think it has helped the Geo team a lot to, you know, have maintainers there reviewing and merging our own work. Because Geo is a pretty you need to know the whole Geo domain, kind of. It's a little bit different than other teams, so I think it makes more sense for Geo than necessarily all teams. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Mike.
Yeah, in a sense, I think Geo is very specific, and also CI team is also very specific. And by CI, I mean not just the CI, but CI/CD thing. And because most of the CI stuff is right now is on Go, they already have like this domain-specific maintainers in a way. Yeah.
With the comment there about cross-pollination and about getting different ideas, in all of the work that you've done lately, and by you I mean the team do you feel that the maintainers, when they've been from outside of Geo, have offered very interesting comments that caused you to think? It's just my observation when going over these 51 items were that the Geo maintainers were more likely to find things after the review, whereas the other maintainers were less likely to find things after review.
Maybe we could use for this cross-pollination a different reviewer other than a maintainer.
Yeah.
The reviewer will be able to handle all this, like give this alternate view, but the maintainer is the one that actually knows how the thing works and be able to prevent like big mistakes.
So you're saying for a merge request, assign it to someone in Geo for review, and then assign it to someone else for the maintainer merge?
Yep.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah, have a Geo maintainer, but maybe someone else reviewing.
But someone else still within Geo for the context.
Oh, sorry. I think I was thinking kind of the other way around, because if there's a Geo reviewer, the maintainer should be able to be any maintainer, because the entire Geo team really needs to know the domain. This is related to the other conversation that's been happening about domain-specific reviewers, and I think as long as either the reviewer or the maintainer is Geo, I think that is sufficient. I don't know, Gabriel. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that also it made more sense to have the reviewer being the main expert on the Geo first, and then you can pick up another maintainer. I think that makes more sense.
Okay. The second thing that I noticed when I was doing this assessment of the last couple of MRs was that we often didn't use or ignored the roulette. Is that because, and I'm trying to figure out why, if we don't find it useful, then is there a need to have it on? Or do we just ping specific people because we know that they've worked in that area before, and as a result, you know that the review is going to have the most context? The reviewer will have the most context.
I
Yeah.
guess I'll go. Oh, sorry. I do often choose someone specifically because I know that they have most of the context already, and like, because it's usually Geo work, they need a lot of context, so that is something that I often do.
Yes, once I tried to assign someone from outside of Geo team, and that was kind of not the best experience, because they didn't know anything, and then they reviewed merge request and said, okay, it looks good, but I don't know the domain, so it's kind of doesn't make sense to review. So this is why I always ignore what Danger says, and I assign Geo team. I hope maintainers won't hit me for this, but it's this is what I do because this is reasonable to me.
I would like to just make an observation. So obviously, I'm not going to review anything or maintain anything. But what you're saying is that for geo, there's a large amount of domain knowledge that is actually needed in order to understand it. And I think maybe this is for another discussion. But the question is also, is that a good thing? If the only people who actually understand geo are essentially in the geo team, and it's very difficult for other people to understand the domain and the code base. A question that I have, is that a desirable state? I thought the roulette was in a way that was just my assumption to get some fresh eyes from sort of outside onto this, rather than sort of reviewing each other all the time, because then you may just develop sort of your own separated universe from the rest. But that may be completely wrong. It's just an observation.
Yeah, I have some concerns with that. So I sometimes use roulette, and for one reason, I like to have and most of the time I would use it for the maintainer, because I want the reviewer to be domain specific, because I consider that the largest step maybe to reviewing that. That should at least be the largest step. So the first reviewer should catch the most, and the maintainer should do the basic stuff, and they can be non-domain specific. And that was the guideline until now also. And for example, when I would do something with artifacts, it might be beneficiary to assign, for example, Camille to do the maintainer review, because he knows everything about artifacts, and he might catch things that are CI related, but not particularly geo related. So in that case, I think it's still valuable to have a maintainer that, or one of two, to have be not domain specific. And for that, I might be using the roulette, because it makes it easier for me to pick a random maintainer, and it would even out the load for maintainers better. Another concern I was thinking about, if we would have domain-specific maintainers, then we don't have any geo maintainer in the EMEA at this moment. I'm not sure if that's really a problem, but it's something we should consider, I guess.
Okay, well, those are all good things to think about, and it's definitely given me something to think about as well in terms of proposing what we could propose going forward. One of the reasons I was keen to trial something different was because I was hoping that our experiences would be able to be shared out back into the team. But from what I'm hearing as well, it sounds like geo is something that's very different from the rest of the features that get created inside of GitLab, because of this domain-specific knowledge that is required, that doesn't really span out into other areas. But
yeah,
it does make me
touches a lot of points. That's the problem a bit with geo. It's specific, but it also touches the whole code base. That's the problem with geo, I guess.
Yeah. But it also makes me wonder, though, that the larger that the code base gets, the more domain-specific knowledge is required in each area anyway, and the less we can start to rely on knowing everything, because everything becomes very, very big. So I think what I'm going to do about this, after the discussions from now and from this morning, I'll put together an issue in the discussions project, and we can take it forward from there, trying to capture what we've talked about here and this morning, and then see if we want to actually action anything for the next milestone. By and large, it sounds like keeping things the way things are is fine. So I'll still put it up for further debate anyway, and see what happens from there. But thank you for all the comments. It's been very useful for me. Next up on the agenda, Ash this morning shared some very happy thoughts about Contribute and how much he enjoyed meeting everyone and sharing biscuits at the closing party, and also the hand grenade cocktails, which sounded very interesting and scary. So I think his words were, "It was the start and the end of the evening." So I had a good laugh at that. But Fabian, you have the next point on the agenda.
Yes, so I just wanted to say that it's pretty much my first month done, which is a bit crazy because it doesn't feel that long. And I just wanted to say thank you for your support in the team. I mean, it was great to meet all of you, or most of you, at Contribute, and I've really enjoyed my time so far. I think, it was said before, I think there's a lot of domain knowledge that's required for Geo, so I still need to learn a lot and learn a lot about the touch points. But I'm really enjoying working with all of you, and it's really fun. And my onboarding is now, as in, the big onboarding issue, and most of those things are going to, they're done, or are going to be done very soon, which means I have much more time to actually think about Geo as a product and where we want to go, and that's quite exciting and quite interesting to me. And I just wanted to share with you that so far, it has been a really, really good experience, and I just wanted to say thanks.
No, that's awesome, and we're well. I don't know if I'm very happy that you're with us, and from all the thumbs up, I think everyone is as well. Does anyone else have anything else on their mind? That's everything that's been added to the agenda.
I was just wondering, how would we proceed, whether this format works or not? Can we assess it already, or should we do it afterwards?
I was going to suggest putting it in the retrospective to get people's comments, because I think some people haven't seen the recording from this morning, and Ash wouldn't have seen the recording from now yet. And the retrospective will be open on Monday, so that's not too long away to remember how the calls went. Cool. Anything else on people's minds? All right. Well, I'm going to thank you for your time. Thanks for dialing in. Also, thank you to those that have joined both calls, and hope that you have a happy and productive rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.